Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel where we delve into the timeless tales of the Bible. Today we embark on an intriguing journey into the story of Ezekiel, a prophet who not only witnessed the throne of God, but also delivered powerful messages to the ancient nations of Israel and Judah. His prophecies spanned decades and foresaw the rise and fall of nations, offering a profound glimpse into the divine plan. Join me, Bible Stories, as we unravel the captivating narrative of Ezekiel and explore the profound messages embedded in his prophecies. Ezekiel means God will strengthen, or God will prevail. Like Jeremiah, he was both a priest and a prophet, part of the large group of captives transported to Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar in 597 BCE, 10 years before the destruction of Jerusalem. These captives were dispersed in different settlements throughout Babylon, forming small communities with a certain degree of organization and freedom of worship. About 5 years later, at the age of 30, still in captivity, God called Ezekiel to serve as a prophet. About 6 years before the destruction of Jerusalem, his prophecies continued for 16 years after Jerusalem's fall, covering a period of about 22 years. So, in today's video, we will talk about the story of the prophet Ezekiel and his prophecies. My name is Lucas Dario, and welcome. The testimony of Jesus Christ and the overflow of grace. So, let's get started. But before we dive into Ezekiel's prophecies, I'd like to ask for your help. Please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. If you enjoy the video, give it a like. It really helps me produce more content. Without further ado, let's proceed to the video. Ezekiel's message. Ezekiel's primary commission was to act as a watchman on behalf of God. His message was directed to Jerusalem and Judah, mentioned 23 times in the first 24 chapters. Interestingly, the phrase "House of Israel" occurs in 78 verses of the book, while "House of Judah" is found only 5 times. Many people mistakenly assume that these terms refer to the same group, but not all Jews are Israelites, and not all Israelites are Jews. The 10 tribes of the House of Israel were taken captive to Assyria about 130 years earlier, while the House of Judah remained. At times, Ezekiel seemed to use the term House of Israel somewhat loosely, especially in the first part of the book, the first 24 chapters. The context clearly shows that he was addressing the Jews and Jerusalem. In other places, he is addressing the sister nation of the Jews, the House of Israel. Through Ezekiel, God warned them of imminent destruction unless they repented and abandoned their idolatrous and sinful practices. People were unequivocally informed that if they did not heed God's admonitions, they would be held accountable and suffer the consequences of their actions. Predictions of happiness, peace, and abundance. Like all prophets, Ezekiel did not bring only a message of condemnation and sorrow. God proclaimed that after the Israelites suffered humiliation and national deprivation due to their disobedience, Christ would return to inaugurate a time of unparalleled peace and harmony among all nations. As the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Christ would return to establish his just rule over the nations. Ezekiel's prophecies. To understand Ezekiel's prophecies, some historical background is necessary. From the time of Moses to King Solomon, about 5 centuries, Israel referred to 12 tribes that constituted a nation. However, after Solomon's death, the nation split into 2, the 10 northern tribes called Israel and the southern tribes of Judah and Benjamin, along with part of Levi called Judah. These 2 nations resided in the land God gave them for over 2 centuries. After persistent disobedience, the northern 10 tribes, the nation of Israel, were enslaved by the Assyrians, and from there, these people migrated, becoming lost to historians over the centuries. They are now known as the Lost Tribes of Israel. The remaining southern tribes, comprising the nation of Judah, continued for over a century until their sins led to God's condemnation. The Babylonians became the conquering nation, deporting them in several waves. Now let's delve into the astounding prophecies of Ezekiel. Before going into detail about Ezekiel's prophecies, I want to clarify that I won't explain their meanings here, as it would require hours of content. Many of them refer to literal and symbolic things, much like the books of Daniel and Revelation. I often address these topics gradually in explanatory videos. With that disclaimer, let's continue. First prophecy, chapters 4 to 7. In chapter 4, Ezekiel is instructed to make a model of Jerusalem and besiege it. He then lies on his left side for 390 days, symbolizing 390 years of iniquity for the house of Israel. Next, he lies on his right side for 40 days, representing the iniquity of the house of Judah. This principle of a day representing a year is found in several other prophecies. Chapter 5 contains one of the most severe prophecies in the Bible, the prophecy of thirds. Ezekiel, using his shaved hair, depicts how Jerusalem will be punished for its sins. 1/3 will die from famine and pestilence, 1/3 from military conquest, and the surviving third will be forced into foreign servitude. The prophecy warns of the fate of modern Israelite nations in the future. Chapter 6 repeats the judgments coming upon Israel, adding an additional phrase, "And you shall know that I am the Lord." By comparing verse 7 with verses 13 and 14, it becomes clear that this refers to the end times when Jesus Christ will return to earth following the fulfillment of these judgments. In chapter 7, it is evident that these prophecies against Jerusalem, Judah, and Israel are for the end times, including a period called the Day of the Lord's Wrath, referring to the day-year before Christ's return. Chapters 8 to 19, including God's accusations against Jerusalem historically and against modern Israel today, involve references to pagan practices now rooted in Christianity. In chapter 9, God makes a clear distinction between the common citizens of Israel, laden with sin, and those who revere God and his laws. Deeply saddened by the nation's sins, the latter will have God's protection, while the former will suffer judgment. Chapter 10 again shows Ezekiel a glimpse of the mighty spiritual world, with high-ranking angels called cherubim present. This vision provides insight into the historical context of the temple in Jerusalem before 586 BCE. Chapter 11 depicts a time invasion, foretelling Jerusalem's fate, which typifies the destiny of national Israel before Jesus Christ's return. This is known as the Second Exodus, mirroring Israel's rescue from slavery by God in Egypt. Chapter 12 describes the deportation in Ezekiel's time, including King Zedekiah and a conquest in the end time. Many of these prophecies have a dual fulfillment. Next, we see accusations against spiritual leaders in Israel, idolatry, and warnings of impending national punishment, along with assurance that individuals adhering to God's laws will be under his protection. Third prophecy, chapters 20 to 23. These chapters further accuse Israel of breaking God's laws. Sabbath breaking is highlighted in chapter 20 and repeated in chapter 22. In Ezekiel's time, the Sabbath was sacred, a sign of an obedient people to God. Fourth prophecy, chapters 24 to 25. In chapter 24, God allows Ezekiel's beloved wife to die without visible mourning. This symbolizes Israel's impending terrible demise. The focus shifts to warnings to non-Israelite nations, starting with Ammon, Moab, Edom, and Philistia. Fifth prophecy, chapters 26 to 28. These chapters accuse Tyre, and suddenly God shifts the focus to the real power behind corrupt Tyre, Satan. God describes how this once righteous cherub became greedy, violent, and arrogant. Chapter 28 ends with a preview of Israel's second exodus from slavery and transitions to their settlement in the Promised Land during the millennium. 6th to 11th prophecies, chapters 29 to 33. Repeated on 6 different occasions, mainly focus on judgments against Egypt, with Babylon also indicated. God emphasizes that he is justly warning the house of Israel. 12th prophecy, chapters 33 verse 21 to chapter 39. Again, a warning about the imminent fall of Israel due to the guilt of its shepherds, the spiritual teachers of Israel. Despite Israel's severe sins requiring God's punishment, he promises to redeem, enlighten, and restore them at Christ's return to earth. This prophecy undoubtedly refers to future events. Ezekiel concludes with a vision of the millennial land of Israel, where Christ will reign over the earth. In visions, Ezekiel, still in Babylon, is taken by God back to the land of Israel, seeing it not as it was in his days, but as it will be after Christ's return. The new millennial temple is described in astonishing detail. Through Ezekiel's eyes, we see gates, courtyards, the altar, and numerous features with complex dimensions. There are rooms and designated areas for sacrifices, priests and singers. The laws governing the service and standards are explained in chapters 40 to 44. The last 4 chapters zoom out to show a broader vision of Israel with notable details. In summary, the temple complex is part of a larger district that includes houses and lands for the priests. To the north are regions allotted as lands and cities for the Levites. The capital, Jerusalem, is in the southern region around the temple. Surrounding the city are fields for agricultural cultivation. These 3 regions comprise the sacred district. To the north are the tribes of Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, Manasseh, Naphtali, Asher, and Dan, each in their own territory. To the south of the sacred district are Benjamin, Simeon, Issachar, Zebulun, and Gad. The world has never seen the prophecies given by God through Ezekiel, depicting Israel in the end times and other nations facing impending calamities. As Jesus said, it will be the greatest tribulation the world has ever seen. Fortunately, God also promises to rescue this world and transform it into a kingdom of peace, happiness, and beauty. You have never seen anything like it because Christ himself will reign on earth. And as Ezekiel's final words declare, the Lord is there. As we conclude our exploration of Ezekiel's story and prophecies, we're reminded of the enduring wisdom found in the pages of the Bible. The messages delivered through Ezekiel resonate across time, offering lessons of repentance, redemption, and the ultimate sovereignty of God. We hope you found this journey through biblical history enlightening and inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our upcoming Bible stories. Thank you for joining us on this spiritual voyage, and may the timeless truths of the Scriptures continue to guide and inspire you. Until next time, stay blessed and keep the faith.